So I'm David Perlman, and I'm a customer of Dallas Performance. We're like a family here. Well, basically what this is like a legalized drug addiction. We all come here to get our fix.
My name's Jason Marino. Everyone calls me Dr. J. You know, just like everybody else, goes to school, loses their hair, gains weight, and becomes a doctor, and you have the goals that you want to have. And one with me was like, I'm gonna get a Lamborghini. So I'll buy one. Get it? It's not that fast. So I'm driving around Dallas, and I'm like, you know what? Everybody wants to race me. It's like, I can't be the guy riding around with a Lamborghini and getting beat by some dude with a Mustang with a little bottle of nitrous on it. So I was like, I scouted on the internet real fast, and Dallas Performance popped up.
My husband Taylor Sims started Dallas Performance in 2008. In 2010, he ventured off into the Lamborghini Audi market.
That's crazy, and it never spun.
It gets faster and faster and faster.
I mean, this is crazy.
This is what everybody wants.
We've become like a family. You know, we know each other very well. We travel to these events that we do with our cars, and we're always striving to take the cars to the next level and get the most amount of performance out of them that we can.
I came over here and met Taylor, and I told him my situation. He started laughing. He goes, "Yeah, I know how you feel." I said, "Good." I said, "Well, what you want to do?" I said, "I know, probably the stage 1, stage 2. You know, really don't. I mean, if I have 1,100 horsepower, I mean, that's pretty. Not too many people on the street's going to have that, so I feel comfortable." So next thing you know, I went from being a stage 1, which was like 32,000, to a stage 2, which is 68,000, and then before I leave the shop, I'm at a stage 3, which is 120,000. So, which is 1,450 horsepower to the wheels. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. So, drop the car off, and they take the motor out, you know, do the whole thing, get it built. I get the car, and it's crazy fast, but it's so smooth. So like within like a week, I'm bored. I'm like, I come back, it's like, "Taylor, man, I need more power." He's like, laughed at me. It's like, dude. I said, "Yeah, so let's do the RS1, which was 1,600. So I drop it off, come back about 4 weeks later, boom, car's ready, make it 1,600 wheel. So I take it out, I'm running around the streets of Dallas like an idiot. Just bat out of hell, just flying by, doing flybys on people. I'm like, man, this is great. 2 weeks later, it feels slow, because the cars here, they're you know, it's boost by gear. Taylor rides around with it before you take it with the laptop, dials in all the wheel spin, where you just floor it, it just goes. No spin. I mean, it just hooks and, you know. So I'll go back to Taylor. I'm like, I need more power. He's like, Jesus. I said, yeah. So what can we do? Let's do an RS2. So I dropped it off. Same thing. A couple of weeks later, came back to the shop, and he goes, "Well, here you go." So I take it down the street, and I was like, wow, now this is fast.
Dallas Performance, they're doing something that was very unorthodox about 20 years ago. And they're taking these cars that are not cheap, very expensive cars, and dumping even more money into it to make it even faster. And a lot of the times, maybe double or triple the original horsepower of the OEM spec'd car. So you're taking something and making it basically light speed in comparison.
Yeah, so this intake manifold is made right over there on the 5-axis machine. It starts off as just a big raw piece of billet, and Nick machines it down into an intake manifold like you see now.
I've been in the car racing since I was a kid. I used to drag race as a 16-year-old, and just had a Mustang and would soup up the car, and had a crazy uncle who had a twin Callaway Corvette who would pull over on the side of the Georgia 400 highway and wait for cars that he felt would have some value in racing. And so it kind of got in my blood at a young age. And basically, I was a guy that would just buy stock cars and be happy with the warranty and just drive it. And I literally thought at one point with these cars, Lamborghinis and McLarens, that I had like the fastest car in the world. A friend of mine named Jason, who has a car done with Dallas Performance, introduced me to this shop and showed me that I was very wrong. The cars that come out of the factory generally these days have 500 or 600 horsepower, and to your average person, they're quick cars. But the owner of this shop, Taylor, took me for a ride in one of these 3,000 horsepower Lamborghinis, and from that moment on, I was hooked. It was like a hit of heroin, and from that moment on, I had to have it. I knew from that moment what I wanted, and I had a McLaren at the time, and I literally sold the McLaren the next day to buy a Lamborghini and have them do their magic on it.
So I turn around and I come back to the shop and Taylor's like, how you like that? I said, man, this is great. I mean, I'm like, Taylor, so like, you know, who's gonna be able to beat me on the street? He goes, nobody. He's like, what you have is a race car with a license plate.
When I first met Taylor, it was back in 2004. We started dating for a short period of time, and he was home from college, and that's when we met. He was going to college up in Michigan. So once he went back after Christmas break, we kind of ventured out, you know, separately again. No hard feelings. I knew I loved him then. He knew he loved me then. It was just kind of a far distance to keep a relationship at a young age going. I was 21, 22 at the time, same as him. So we rekindled everything and like kind of met back up and been inseparable since then. We got married in 2012 and ended up having 2 kids. I had a kid previously that he raised as his own.
Taylor, I was introduced to Taylor through a friend of mine named Jason. We call him Dr. J. And he had called me one day and was boasting that he had a Lamborghini that had over 1,000 horsepower. And after about 5 minutes of laughter, I didn't believe him, to be honest. And so I said, look, I have to see this to believe it. He said, Monday morning, you go up to Dallas Performance, gave me the address, and I met with Taylor. And Taylor took me for a ride in the fastest car they had at the time. And it was mesmerizing. It was an experience that I'll never forget. And that was the catalyst to begin this venture with Dallas Performance.
We have Lamborghinis. We want to look like a Lamborghini. You open the door, it looks like a Lamborghini. But when I floor it, the devil comes out. You know, I could take my car, drive it to Starbucks, roll the window down, order me a cappuccino, and turn on the interstate and punch it and go 240 miles an hour in like 6 seconds.
It was like nothing I'd ever felt. Faster than, I mean, I fly airplanes, I fly jets, I've been on roller coasters. You know, this was like nothing I'd ever felt before, the G-forces. We're talking 5 times the normal horsepower of a supercar. I didn't even think this stuff existed.
My biggest fear was I hate to lose. So, like, my car has 6 settings. Has a pump gas, which is 900. There's another pump gas, which is 1100. another setting which is 1250, another setting which is 1450, another setting which is 1600, and another setting which is 1824 at the time. So in order to run the highest setting, you had to run import, which is a very expensive race gas, right? What the hell's all these settings for? If I'm on the street with gas, pump gas, right? And somebody pulls on the side of me with a bike or something big, I mean, I may lose. I want to be the guy with a Lamborghini with a twin turbo on and getting beat on the street and getting laughed at, right? So I rode around for a whole year on import. To give you an example, it's $450 to fill your tank up. I didn't want nobody to beat me because I talked so much. I'm like, dude, you can't beat me. It ain't gonna happen, whatever. So I just, bikes, people on street bikes, I'll just totally just blow their doors off. And they think they missed the gear, they come back on the side. I'm like, yeah, you just go. So I let them go and I just come blow by and throwing fire on them, you know.
When Taylor and I, when I first noticed and, we started dating and moved in together, I saw the scale that he was on then wasn't near as big as this is now, but, I saw the hours that he put into it. He worked a lot. He, was always innovating something new. He was always, just the tuning. I'd see him on the laptop, just constantly at it with customers, and he just built those relationships and just always innovating stuff.
The race world kind of had a big change, So you went from my car being like untouchable to you can get beat. There was a big advancement with GTRs. So I'm talking about at a track, at an event. On the street, no. Now, yes. So this was 2017. So I said, I want my car faster. So Taylor goes, gotta get bigger turbos, get a sequential. The E-gear can't hold it. So I had an E-gear still. So okay, so sequential, $90,000, whatever, so okay, now I got it. So I get in that and take a ride and like, oh yeah. I mean, it's almost like I tell people that have exotic cars and they got bikes and this and that, they're like, oh, I can ride it. I said, no, you can't. I said, it's something that's it's impossible for someone that haven't experienced it to actually tell them what it feels like.
I had stock Lamborghini Huracans, I had a stock McLaren, and those cars feel like a Honda Civic compared to these twin turbo cars that have 5 times the horsepower.
When that car gets into 5th gear, it's hitting like almost 190 miles an hour, and it's accelerating so fast. It feels like the car is going to come off the ground, like it's getting light in the front, and it's just getting into it. That's the scary part. It felt like a ghost comes through the back of the seat and grabs your stomach, and it's pulling you through the back of the seat. It's like this unimaginable force is pulling you. And that's the G's that's created in the head because the car is accelerating and pulling so hard. The guy that has that other orange car that has the blue car over there, it felt like his retina's detached. So he stopped driving them. He had Taylor drive his cars. He got so scared. It's scary, but euphoric at the same time.
One person is dead after crashing his Lamborghini. The single car crash happened last night around 11 o'clock on Plano Road. That's near Miller Road in Northeast Dallas. Police tell us the driver was speeding when he lost control, hit a pole, landed upside down, and died. Police have identified the driver as Taylor Sims from Royce City.
So 2 years ago, June 7th, was the worst day of my life, See?
Taylor left a legacy of excellence And his shop was run, it was a very well-run business, and he had put together innovations that no one else had. So upon his passing, the shop and the employees were able to take what he had taught them and continue building these cars to the same fit and finish level that we were, he was accustomed to.
He was more of an artist than a mechanic. Because an artist creates, right? A mechanic just does what the book tells you to do. An artist is something totally different, gifted. When I first met him, it was business. I'm giving him a $200,000 car and plus all this other money to make it fast. It didn't take long before it was like Taylor, my little brother, because it was never about money. It was never about none of that.
I think about it was probably about 3 weeks, three to 4 weeks, when I had to, make that decision of what I was going to do, with Dallas Performance. And the guys obviously kind of carried on as much as they could, while he was, after the accident. I guess I'm just stubborn, and I lost him, and I didn't want to have to lose this.
Was excited about what he was doing. He was excited to push the envelope and really kind of be an underdog in this industry, and very genuine, basically said, hey, I don't know you, but you can just drive one of our cars. And that blew my mind.
He took one of the hardest platforms, a Lamborghini, and was able to get it to do things that most people in the world are not able to do. These cars have integrated computer systems and safety mechanisms to make sure that the cars don't exceed their limitations. You have to find a workaround for these things, and that's what he was incredible at. He was also an incredible engineer and CNC machinist. He would take his vision and put it into reality.
Hey, what's going on over here? What's the problem?
The problem is this. My car is not ready, and we got a race in less than 5 days.
I was telling David that the engine was supposed to be here this morning, but I just got off the phone with the machine shop, and the guy told me it's not going to make it.
So what are we going to do here?
Well, there's a car available. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to make it to the race, and it's a DP race car.
Dude, it's the one I'm thinking about. It's got like 600,000 in it. It's a full-blown race car. So if you can get that one, at least you'll be able to compete.
I mean, it sounds like a great car, but I got 2 race cars here at 600,000, man.
Hey man, it's just money. You either gonna have a car there and compete, or you're gonna be there as a looker. Which one you want to be?
I want to race, man. I want to race.
Let's go get the car then.
Let's go do this. How are you?
Out here to look at the Lamborghini?
We're here to buy the Lamborghini.
Let's go check it out.
This thing is full race. What kind of horsepower does this thing got?
This car makes, I think, around 2,400 turn all the way up.
So not the kind of car you want to take to the convenience store.
No, definitely not. This is made for one thing.
Track only, racing only.
It's made for one thing and one thing only, going fast.
Well, we're in Marion, Indiana at their regional airport at a shift sector event, which is a half-mile style racing event where they measure your mile per hour at the half-mile point.
So we've been trying to chase the 245 mark for some reason, because the Gallardo, I think that's the record, it's like 243 or something like that. They haven't gotten there yet. It was my chance today because it's a fresh motor. And guess what happens? Is on my last run, it blows the intercooler. and it's pushing water into the intake. So actually done for the event. Nothing I can do.
So the key to this race is to keep your foot pedal to the metal for the whole distance, which is scary because you got to keep the car straight, and if you have any kind of wheel spin or feel the back end getting loose at all, you have to pull out of it, which gives you a mile-an-hour deficit.
David Perlman, that looked like a good fast pass to me. Mile an hour, 2:33.4.
The first run today was flawless. We had a little more power. The ambient temperature was cooler, so that makes more power. It was a flawless run. The only issue I had was I was in the right lane, and at the end of the track in the right lane there's a dip and the car kind of jumps a little bit.
Now it looks like we got David Perlman in the Huracan, 2,000 horse, been a best of 218.4. You see it right there. Not sure if it's an ethanol blended fuel or not, but it's fast, I'll tell you that. It looks really fast. Mile an hour coming up. He was definitely in it to win it. No lift there. Mile an hour, 2:33.77. David Perlman in the Huracan for the win. Great job, Dallas Performance. What a great finals. All-wheel drive finals. Whoa.
Yeah, we spend all this money, these millions of dollars, $500,000, and at the end of the day, we get a $20 trophy, and it's bragging rights. Obviously, it's nice to put a trophy in your home and have people see it, but it's really the bragging rights that is what's important.